All right, folks, hour number 2 of the Big Steve Malzberg Show. Alan West will join us, former congressman and U.S. Army colonel, will join us at the bottom of the hour. We're moments away from General Paul Vallely, retired general, and also chairman of Stand Up America. He will be joining us momentarily as soon as I get that thumbs up. And I know he can hear me, so let me just tell you about a story that's breaking on ABC News. That this nation believes that there are several dozen suspected terrorists and bomb makers, including some who have targeted American troops in the past, who have come into this country, who have been allowed into this country as refugees under a war status from Iraq, that are now in this country. Terrorists, bomb makers, you name them, just biding their time and waiting for the right time to, God forbid, strike. So this is something that is a huge reason for concern. Do we have the general? All right, well, forget that because time's ticking away. So if we got him, let me say hello to General Paul Vallely. Hello, sir.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I am good. I see you made it back from Restoration Weekend along with the rest of us.
Well, I did, and it was a great 3 days down there, very informative, and I'm glad you could make it down.
Well, listen, I had the pleasure of finally meeting you in person and your lovely wife, who I sat next to at the table with you during the dinner, keynoted by Dr. Ben Carson. It's just it was a pleasure meeting both of you, and give her my regards. But I just started with the story. I hope you heard it about the fact that we may have let dozens of terrorists from Iraq into this country under the premise of immigration with war coming from a war-torn country. This is no surprise, though, the way we have these lax immigration rules.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And, of course, I think you can remember the number of Afghan Air Force trainees we had in Texas several years ago that then vacated out of that base in Texas and went elsewhere. And I'm not sure we ever policed the rest of them up. So our lax policies and dealing now with some of these Middle East countries, we've got to be very careful of who we allow in or bring in. And of course, that takes a very strict and enforcement of the laws and the codes that we have now of allowing people into this country.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And immigration is a whole nother story. Let me ask you a question, and this is something that you have talked about. It's something that you have championed. And before we get to a column that you recently wrote, you've been outspoken about the need to expand health care for our military heroes when they come home. Why is it that veterans have to live mostly in big metropolitan areas to get the care they need from places like Walter Reed? And why is it so very important for this kind of treatment to be available in their local communities?
Well, when they laid out the Veterans Administration hospitals way back, they were primarily located in Washington, D.C. I remember the facility in Denver, Long Beach, Seattle. And so after that, some ancillary or accessory type of facilities were opened. I can even remember one in Napa Valley, which was for retired veterans. But for the most part, Steve, if you go out into middle America or out of those large urban areas, you don't have the facilities. So these veterans have to commute to places like, as I use an example, from Montana to Salt Lake City. And that costs, $500 or $600 a ticket to fly them over there when we have perfectly good hospitals here. So our recommendation is to the Veteran Administration and to the government and Congress, let's issue them a card, a medical card, where these veterans can use it anywhere because it ends up saving the government money and they get the treatment they need.
Yeah, and imagine anybody who has an illness or is disabled to one extent or another, especially severely. Imagine if you had to go to the doctor even for your cold and you had to get on a plane or a train and travel hundreds of miles when there are facilities around you, but for whatever reason, the government said you can't use that and you have to go here or there. I mean, that's just a horrific way to treat these people.
Well, it is. And I go back to a conversation I had in West Palm Beach at the conference down there with somebody that there seems to be a lack of common sense throughout our government in dealing with the problems and issues. And if we'd use more common sense and deal rationally with what should be done, what can be eliminated, these unnecessary rules and regulations that guide not only the Pentagon, but the Veterans Administration. So, it's like a whole redo, Steve, that we need. Our entire government needs to be cleansed. We need to deregulate a lot of things that we have in government that are restricting us so much as free people.
Well, that brings me to your piece, and we're talking, of course, to Major General Paul Vallely, chairman of Stand Up America, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You wrote a piece, A National Call to Action. The fate of our country is now in our hands. It's time for a change of government and leadership to save the republic. Talk about what motivated you to write that and what you're asking for.
Well, I think we've all been searching for solutions because of the lack of leadership, not only in Congress and the White House, but it seems, Steve, that nothing happens positive anymore for our government. They can't seem to do anything right, and that goes back to leadership. It goes back to inept people within our government, such a tangled bureaucracy, government, way too big, way too complicated. So we're asking a new leadership team be put into the government. We're asking that Obama and Biden resign. We're asking that Harry Reid, John Boehner, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi resign out of their positions. Let's get some new leaders moved up here that we can do under the Constitution and get people working for this government again that are effective. We've got to do something. We know impeachment won't work because of the partisan politics. We saw what happened with Clinton. So unless we can find under the Constitution ways to remove this particular government we have in the White House, then we're left the alternative of what we call demand resignations, like what happened to Nixon.
How do you feel about the Presidential Medal of Freedom awarded to 16 people today, going to, among others, Bill Clinton? I mean, look, I know he's changed. I know people change and things get forgiven. But if you're going to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom, to me, if you've been disbarred and perjured yourself and have been impeached, I just don't see how you even have the nerve to accept it, let alone get be awarded it.
Well, it seems to be more pandering. It's like the Nobel Peace Prize anymore. It doesn't really mean anything. And so when the president honors certain people, you can see it's pandering, like to
Oprah Winfrey,
and others. It just doesn't make sense to me. We have so many heroes and people of valor within their different disciplines throughout this country that should be recognized. And certainly Clinton and Oprah Winfrey have been recognized enough. They don't need any more recognition.
All right. Listen, General, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for coming on. We'll hopefully see you soon.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Take care. General Paul E. Vallely, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, I got an email from a friend yesterday, 2 emails. One said, hey, Pierce Morgan just played part of your interview with Ann Coulter where she defended Alec Baldwin, in effect, on CNN, and it said Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV. I said, great. And then I get another email, hey, Al Sharpton used your Ted Cruz interview and blasted Cruz for talking about impeachment and abuse of power. And I said, this I got to see. So we have it for you. Not only will you get to see and hear it, I'll get to see and hear it again because I liked it so much the first time. I'm going to get to